And welcome back to the Sleeping Grush podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm John.
And our producer is Jager Madsen. Today we're brought to you by the Cardboard Corner Cafe, Kansas City's best game cafe and waffle purveyors. They've been very nice to provide us with this sweet, sweet room that they usually loan out to RPG players. And it's the perfect spot to do exactly this. Shut the door, and you're in your own private little world. So, today we are on episode 2. We're recording on Talk Like a Pirate Day, but rest assured we will not be talking like pirates on John's insistence.
Yar.
I had my own stick all ready to go, and he said no.
I didn't insist.
I don't know what that's
but
about.
I appreciate your choices.
We are sitting around having a drink, and this is take 2 because take 1 just did not take. And we're certain that it's because of the lack of alcohol. So we had to remedy that real quick. And here
fixed.
we are
That's been
back again. So, gosh, what are we going to talk about today, John?
Faelon.
Faelon. That's a pretty good subject matter. You know, we have the Sleeping Grush podcast. And a lot of people are probably wondering what a Sleeping Grush is.
Yeah.
So let's break it down a little bit.
Let's start with that.
Grush. What is a Grush?
Grush is a creature,
A creature.
an inhabitant of Faelon. Talking before the recording started, I think our best simple description is dire badger bear.
Dire badger bear.
Yeah. It's
I
big-
kind of like that. Why didn't we go with that instead of Grush?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Because dire badger bear leather shoes is a lot to say.
It is. It is.
When we it's been around a long time. It's been around since the origins of the game. Before the origins of Free Blades, was a antagonist in a villain monster of original Brightsword. So we needed something mammalian, all our own, lived in the forest, terrorized villages, and then hunted by knights for, to go kill the beast.
Right, right.
So
I can remember one of the first things that I thought was really cool about this game when I came into it was the fact that you had your own creatures, right? It wasn't just a dragon or whatever.
right,
It was
or our own take on them,
or your own
Right.
take on it. It was a Grush, right? And here's this huge, imposing chunk of resin.
And they get bigger.
Yeah, that are just massive and claws, and it looks like it's going to eat you at any time. And it was one of the cooler things that I thought, hey man, this is an awesome thing. So that's a Grush. So a sleeping Grush. Let's talk about that.
Much less dangerous.
We hope so,
Potential-
right?
Potentially.
So I mean, if you're going to come across a Grush, the best outcome
across a
is that it's a sleeping one, right? So the Sleeping Grush is also a name of a tavern and inn in the city of Terradim. And the Sleeping Grush is a place where free bands go to get warrants. They can go there and they can look for work. They can come in off of a job. They can drink some good alcohol. They can get some food, maybe get a couple days of sleep. And
It's our iconic prancing pony,
right,
vulgar unicorn.
Right.
The Sleeping Grush is our sort of symbolic. I mean, there's obviously many taverns for adventurers to go get a warrant.
absolutely.
The Sleeping Grush is kind of the flagship.
Right, the flagship.
It's the one we kind of use as our exemplar for that sort of thing.
Right, and we've used it before.
Red Dragon Inn.
The Red Dragon Inn, right?
Any dragon Inn. Any dragon Inn.
Any dragon. We've used it before. We've used it for a channel on the Discord for reporting campaigns because more than one of our campaigns have started in the Sleeping
That's right.
Grush. And so here we are again in the Sleeping Grush. And when John and I kind of imagined this podcast, we imagined ourselves as two curmudgeons over in the corner of the Sleeping Grush Inn, making comments of all of the free bands and passerbys.
Right. If Statler and Waldorf were fantasy retired free blades hanging out in the back of a tavern making fun of all the patrons, occupants.
That's definitely us.
That's us.
So that's the Sleeping Grush. For those of you who were wondering, you're sitting there listening to episode 1, which, as we're recording, dropped last night, which is
Right.
amazing. So that is out there.
Thanks again to Jager.
Yeah,
Right.
Jaeger did a fantastic job taking our junk and turning it into something that actually sounded good. So that is quite a job at the end of the day, right? So thank you, Jaeger. I really appreciate that. So if you guys were looking at that and wondering what a Grush was or a sleeping Grush, that is what the sleeping Grush is.
Couple of places to find one. Of course, the website, because you can go buy one, right?
Absolutely.
And they're grown-up form, the R Grush. And then it is in one of our more well-known illustrations where Athos, the apprentice, no, that's the apprentice is fighting that cool. It's the cave,
Yeah, it's in a cave.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The Countess of Selkirk and a Fist of Vidnar are battling a Grush in a cave.
Yep.
It's a chapter header in one of the rule books, I want to say.
It is. Yeah. Might have to drop that on the
let's put it on the channel when
yeah.
I'll make a note for that.
Awesome. All right, so let's talk about the World of Faelon. We are DGS games. More and more, we're throwing out this term, the World of Faelon. So the World of Faelon is pretty big. It's something that everybody can latch onto. And John, why don't you tell us a little bit about the World of Faelon and all the different ways that you can connect to it as a player or a person that's just interested in fantasy worlds?
Right. So the World of Faelon originated in the later 1970s as my high school role-playing world.
That's awesome in and of itself. That's a really cool piece of trivia.
It wasn't awesome then, but it's awesome now. It's awesome to look back on it. It was derivative.
Sure.
Traditional fantasy of stealing from everything. Wasn't a lot. It was terribly original. The Pit of Despair, the Forest of Fire, whatever. And I decided, I'm a big Tolkien fan, of course, like a lot of folks, and a lot of folks in my generation that were role players were Tolkien fans. So I wanted to have my own languages, my own cultures, and I just built up over time. And that is what, in the last episode, we talked about how we chose Faelon over other choices when the time came to pick what we were doing for our game, when we formed the company. So we chose Faelon because we had a head start, but the concept behind it is you don't decide anything about the world until you need to. And it's better built by a team and by a single person. And not just the team and the company, but by you guys. I mean, the fans,
right.
Customers,
right,
players. So we have a number of ways that players get involved. Matt's going to talk later about one of the big ones that's recently launched. There are a lot of ways to do that. So the World of Faelon is a fantasy setting. Right now, the map that is publicly available shows one continent and part of another one, but it is a world. So there's a whole bunch of other places to explore that can't currently be seen publicly. We have them internally, we have them sketched out, we have plans, but we don't want to limit ourselves because every time we turn around, we find out that if we had decided that earlier, it wouldn't have been as cool as what we came up with when we were completely free to add
later down the road.
Yeah. So I'm very happy about that.
But it's also cool because, for those of you listening, now that there's so much more out there.
Right.
It's not just the continent and a half that we're looking at. There's a whole other world out there that is yet to be explored.
We're going to go
but will be.
And there's also factions and elements of the existing map that we haven't touched.
Right.
So there's plenty to do, plenty of places to go. Your place as a player, to find your place in it that you like the most, that you identify with the stories of that area or the stories you want to participate in. We want to make room for everybody there.
Right.
So there's a lot of ways to tool around this world. So we're going to kind of take a little tour here a little bit.
Awesome.
First of all, I would recommend anyone, because we thought about this earlier, we were talking about earlier, start with the website. Always come back to the website.
And that is
www.dgsgames.com. Do you need www these days?
I wouldn't think so.
I don't think so. dgsgames.com.
We're all programmed that way since we're, elder, seasoned.
So seasoned. I like seasoned better. I like elder. I don't like either one. So because the website can connect you to all the other things I'm going to talk about, you can get there if you start at the website.
Right.
So just keep that URL in your head.
It's the hub.
Let's get back to it. First of all, the first thing that you can do at the website is buy stuff. to the store there.
We
We
appreciate
are a business. that
all
way.
of your efforts at buying things.
Buying things. So the things that you can buy are models, accessories for the game, rule books. Right.
Books are
You
awesome.
don't necessarily have to buy it. You can do it right by coming to get a demo at a convention. Even if you have to, it's $10.
Sure.
Right? So
It's not probably going to bust your bank
that's not
account.
going to break the bank. Other things, if you go hog wild on every shambler that ever shambled in Faelon, maybe a little bit. But
Drakensaur and his family.
yeah, a family attack, a murder of Dragonsaurs. What do they come in? Parliaments?
I'm
Herds, flock,
Parliament.
pod of Dragonsaurs. So you can get all those things there, and some merch. I am personally sporting a Coronin faction icon on my T-shirt today.
He's looking very dapper.
I
Normally,
don't have an Eclipse one yet. I
normally
realize
it's
that.
Volcar or it's Trezor, and
I-
today Corona.
Well, I want to have one when I come in to play that faction. I like to have the shirt represent,
Absolutely.
right? And I'm playing Eclipse lately, and I don't have an Eclipse shirt, so I'm going to go to dgsgames.com and buy myself one. So
And you need to follow his example.
Yes, please. Yeah, sure. All right. So there's also a page there that links you to all of our social media.
Right.
So if you're not, if you're not happy with the social media connection you have with us now, you want to expand it, you want to do a different platform, which remind yourself you get disconnected somehow, you want to remind yourself what platform, how to connect to it, what is it called, what's the name of searching. You can get a link there directly from the social media page. Then there is the combination of our Patreon and the World Anvil platform. We're going to spend a minute talking about that, right?
Right.
So our business model is a little different than some of the other game companies that you might might be a fan of or might buy things from. We want to keep the costs to the player down, but we can't keep it down so far we go out of business.
Right.
So we do have to monetize our work.
It's kind of a dance.
It is. Yeah. We don't want to overcharge the customer. And we're not here to money grub, but we do want to stay in business. So our Patreon memberships are designed to give value back to those players that participate at whatever level, and allows us to write and add things to the world and monetize it so that we can keep doing it.
Right.
Right. We don't make a lot of money on our rule books. We don't make a lot of money in terms of margin on anything we sell. We're not trying to upcharge anything. So, but we got to make some because we keep the lights on. Julie will get mad.
Right.
So the way the Patreon works, and you can, like I've said, you can get to our Patreon or to become a member through Patreon from the website. You go to the World of Faelon tab, shows you how to do that, gives you all the instructions. And that allows you access to other parts of World Anvil, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, and other goodies listed by the level that you subscribe. So if you go in there and you say, I just want the basics, and you look at the different reward levels, Blade Sworn is the lowest level, designed for somebody who just plays the game, Lore Master for game masters who run campaigns. The Chain Seeker level is for those people that want to participate directly in decisions about, what are we going to make next, what kind of rules we're going to write, what creature we're going to do.
Matters of Faelon.
Matters of Faelon. Nice. I like that. And they also get to participate in a monthly council where we get on Discord and we ask the Chain Seekers questions and get their opinions. And I'll tell you, every time I go to work on something for DGS, I check the most recent, or actually the most applicable Chain Seeker Council notes to see what the players told us they wanted. We can't always please everyone. That's impossible.
Sure.
We can't always do everything everybody wants. Also impossible.
Right.
But we can take into account significantly what people have told us is important to them, including, as an example, the order in which we're choosing subjects for the podcast.
That's right.
Was a Chain Seeker Council question.
That's right.
So those folks got to impact directly, what order and what subjects we're doing. So, and then the world builders, the top level, they get all kinds of super goodies. They get to have an NPC in the world and a location that's mapped out. And so they pick a spot and they get to have input directly into a given faction. They'll choose a faction when they become a world builder. And we go to make a model or a new rule in that faction area and we consult them. So they get some direct input. But Also, those different levels allow you to get these different parts of World Anvil named the same way. The access levels are named the same way. And World Anvil is a world builder platform used to allow both companies and individuals to world build,
Right.
obviously.
Right.
And the World of Faelon is stored on the World Anvil platform.
Right.
Okay. And so if you are not a Patreon subscriber, a great deal of material is still available to you. All the basics of all the factions, the map.
Yeah, we're not hiding any of that.
Yeah, that's all, open access.
And we're adding to it every month.
Yeah. What's the article count?
It's like 1,200 articles.
It's 1,200 articles. Yeah, it's crazy, right?
It's
So-
insane.
And those articles those are all different types of articles. They are individual characters, cities, locales, adventuring locales,
History.
organizations, histories of countries and people and whatever. It's just everything you'd expect in some big fat, codex or row of books on your shelf is instead on this online platform. Somewhat of a database, but not a completely relational one. Relational. And we're working on that. Matt and I got to go in there and do some better organization using the platform as it's given to us to allow you to move around faster. That's on our list of things to do. So, and that information, how to get to World of Faelon and World Anvil, and how to link your Patreon subscription to what level of access you have, are also on the World of Faelon tab on the website.
Yep.
AGS Games. And what do you find on there? You find, like I said, the map is on there, 2 different versions. The map of the known portion of Faelon right now that's publicly known. The northern continent of Asashiel, and then there's half the southern continent of Rishiel. And in 2 versions, one clean, quote unquote, and one with a hex pattern on it for campaign builders that like to name individual locations. There's campaigns, right? Different kinds of campaigns.
Lots of different campaigns.
Tomb of Akshad, Feed to the Forest, Operations Moonlight isn't there yet.
Coming soon.
Coming soon, working on that. Mirror of Stars and the Isle of Mist.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2 link campaigns are on it. So a number of different ways to play there. Background on all kinds of different aspects of the world.
For those of you who
don't die
didn't
down
hear
there.
it, Jager's dying at the end of the table. If you didn't hear it before, you're gonna.
Actually, I think I could probably run this. So if you just die,
Right.
okay,
Yeah,
right?
then it'd
Yeah.
be quieter,
Because nobody here is performing CPR, so you're running around. So just a plethora of things, and of course we're always looking for input. You drive around World Anvil. Oh, I'd really like to know about this. We want to know that.
Absolutely.
Because we'll write to it.
Right.
We'll establish.
Right. And I'll tell you in that vein, I was talking with one of our world builders just the other day who had proposals for a creature in the world. And him and I worked that out. And then I took it to our rules team, the other part of the rules team. And they shot me back some stats. And I'm going to share that with you this afternoon after we're done recording.
Right.
To see if that's
Yeah.
something.
So it's an example of a world builder having a direct impact
Yeah.
on something that becomes playable in the game.
Right.
We'll take a look at the creature. We approve it. It goes in the bestiary.
Yep.
Yeah. And so you can add it to your games.
Right.
Right. Yeah. That's how it works. We want the players to have, I am sure, I'm not sure, but I'd like to think about, I'll come back to you with this, man. How much of the world is originally, quote unquote, mine? I don't want it to be mine. So it's a community effort now. But that was, drawn up by me
Right.
originally.
Right.
And because I didn't do the Khazaric, for example. Okay.
Right.
I had a space for it, but didn't do the Isles of the Chakram. Right. That was another person. So I think between that, the contributions of the team members at DGS and the contributions of our world builders and other fans, more of the world has been done by not me than me, which I love.
It's
I
awesome.
absolutely love it. Yeah, it is awesome.
Kind of
Pretty sure that's
an interesting place to be, though.
Yeah, yeah, and and the thing is that the way we do this, I'm a Tolkien fan. I'm gonna piss off half the community right here. I'm more of a Star Trek fan than a Star Wars fan.
Oh
All
no,
kinds of shit
we
to turn off.
just lost our
Everybody
viewership.
just clicked their podcast off. I just tapped Spotify. But the way that the canon and the world has been run for a long time, there's kind of an overseer over the showrunners that just sort of keeps an eye on continuity and nothing. Their principle that they've used for the longest time is we're not going to decide anything until we need to.
Right.
Right. So
We will not paint ourselves into a corner.
right? What's in that space? We vaguely know. We'll decide later.
Mhm.
Right. And so if a writer comes with an episode and they have adding something to the background, um, there's one person that's kind of making sure it fits in the scheme,
Right.
but it can be added.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be done by, one person. So that's kind of the principle we use. Okay, so that's World Anvil and the Patreon. So there's also a section of the website for downloads. Okay, play aids to player games. The free version of the model stat cards for Free Blades. Okay, you can.
Now that's a big deal. Let's talk about that for a minute, because model stat cards, and you said free version, right?
Yeah, so they come as a PDF. They're sized as tarot, 120 millimeters by 70 millimeters. So you can print them, to download them for free, print them. And you could also just look at them on your phone or your tablet too, but print them, cut them, stick them in a sleeve,
Right.
right? And you've got your stat cards. And you could focus on whatever it was you were playing and not have to have all the PDFs downloaded if you didn't want to. And you can play with them right at the table. We do sell them printed, print on demand through drive-through cards. And we update them simultaneously. Okay, so we have if somebody wants to buy a set, somebody wants to buy the Eclipse, cards for drive-through cards, they can go and buy that pack. $10, I think. I'd have to look and see what it is. Or go to the website, go to the download section, go to model stat cards, go to Eclipse, download that PDF, and print your own right now.
Right.
Your choice, which way you want to do that. So cards are on there. Play aids are on there. Contest rules. So if you're participating in a Master Crafter coin competition, like you're submitting a diorama or a painted model or a painted freeband, something that Matt loves to run.
I do love to run.
You do love to run. The rules for that are in there. Or if you're participating in one of our tournaments, our tournament rules.
Very important you read both of those sections.
You'd think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Your list does have to be legal.
It helps.
For those of you in North America and not in America, or Mexico. Yeah. So the contest rules are there. Then there's rule supplements, right? Things that are free that allow you to do things with the rules. Right now, the supplements are all for Free Blades. There's no specific Bright Sword supplement on the.
Right.
A lot of the Bright Sword material would be campaigns or extra rules like the Blended Pass or the Bestiary. That's all on World Anvil.
It's all with it.
We are looking at, because we want to introduce more art into the world about Faelon, imagery of Faelon, and role players just, source books, things that aren't going to change. We sell you one, it doesn't become obsolete the next time we change a rule. We are looking at getting into the business of printing those, right? But right now, all that material is on World Anvil. But a Free Blades player has 3 other ways to play the game available for free in the rule supplement section. Encounters, which turns your Free Blades game into a cooperative, okay, where the players are the free band and the game master is the villains, not 2 free bands playing each other head to head like the regular game. Alternate encounters, which allows you to play on smaller surfaces in 4x4, 3x3, and 2x2, how to modify the scenarios to do that, and to play on a grid or to play indoors, meaning in a dungeon, in a building, in a castle, in a cave system. So it shows you how to use those environments, play on a smaller surface, or play on a grid. So if you had a Pathfinder D&D, grid map or Dwarven Forge terrain, that's gridded out. We'll show you how to play free blades using that instead of the standard, tape measure rules.
Right.
That's all there for free. Also in the rule supplement section is free blades unsanctioned. Unsanctioned contains stat lines for different free bands that are not official, meaning the only thing you can't do with them is play in a sanctioned tournament with that free band. You could do everything else.
Anything else?
Okay. We have not had the chance to balance them, and we don't make the model specifically for them yet. Right.
We have a good proxy for them.
Right.
Listed.
We do suggest the proxies in the different free bands that are unsanctioned. The Moyakat Illuminated, the Green Hood.
Green Hood, yes.
All our favorites. Off on the right of those faction stat summaries is a suggested model from our line that would work, the way we picture it. But we will eventually do these. What order we do them in is another change seeker question.
Right.
Right. But the rules for them, so another, I don't know, 10? I'd have to look.
I believe there's at least 8.
At least 8.
Yeah.
Okay, different freebands. So there's a whole additional, and it gives you insight, a little bit more insight in the world because there is background material on those freebands
Every
in
one of
that
them.
product.
Yep.
It's a downloadable PDF,
Lord.
just like encounters and alternate encounters. So that is what I had for all the different ways that you could
Interact with our
interact
great
with
world.
Faelon.
Right.
One world, many portals.
One world, many portals.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways that you can go, and of course, beyond all of this, we have the games. The main games, Free Blades, if you like skirmish gaming, and Bright Sword if you like your role playing, and Encounters you mentioned, of course, which is kind of an in between space there. So many different ways that you can get involved with the world. So if you're not a skirmish player, but you love the world, you can get on the World Anvil and you can eat up the lore. You can get into the role playing if you're not into that, or if you can just stick with skirmishing. So one of the things I love about the way that we do things is that we're not tied down to one way to access the world. There's
Right, I want to add to.
No, please go for it.
To what you said before I forget it. You talked about encounters, right? Instead of being a free band, which is basically an adventuring party, 6 models at 150 gold, 6-ish, 12, I think is a common game now, like 250, 275, 12, 13, 14 models, depending. Head to head, one-on-one. Or a big multiplayer game, but each player has a free band.
Right.
It's competitive. In encounters, you have 1 or 2 models, and you are those characters, and your fellow players are the other members of that same free band adventuring group.
Right.
Right. And there's some game master playing the villains, the beast and the minions, the sorcerer, whatever it is.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
And you can take those from the campaigns designed for Bright Sword on World Anvil are all also completely compatible with playing them as encounters. And there are some purpose-built encounters campaigns out there.
Yes.
What we're finding is a lot of our questers, those ambassadors of our game, those volunteers, ambassadors for the game, are teaching people the game by running an encounters game where a player only has to worry about 1 or 2 models. They learn the game that way, and then they decide whether they want to jump over into Free Blades, or whether they want to play the full role-playing game, or encounters is their thing, and that's what they want to do.
We have seen a lot of groups at our conventions. I'm thinking about
really
in particular, where every year the same group of 6 players comes back, and their Saturday evening is playing our Encounters game. And that's really cool to see, right? Because obviously they love the game, they love the
whatever else we have in the schedule, we're going to make one table for that crew.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So, also, it's in playtest. People are interested in this. We can get you access to it. We are planning eventually a battle game where you play an army and not an adventuring group.
Right.
A company, a size force with a
Captains of Faelon.
Captains of Faelon. And so, there are rules for it. It's a play-tested game. It's in a beta playtest, so we're down the road a ways, and we have army lists for all the factions, and all your models are compatible, and they will stay compatible. The whole point of that is that a Free Blades model is good for all 3 games, all 4 games, counting encounters.
Yeah.
Bright Sword, Free Blades, Captains of Faelon, encounters, whatever else we come up with. Pirates of Faelon,
Sea Blades.
Sea Blades. That's so much better. We need to do Sea Blades because that's just too funny. Okay, so I just want to add that.
No, I think that's a great ad. And if you're interested in playtesting Captains of Phalon, you can holler at John online or Colin, who's in charge of playtesting.
Yeah, Colin or I,
Hmm.
right?
And
Any
they'll
way
get
you
you
can
set up.
reach us. And once again, just to add to when I said the website is the one-stop shop, it also has a contact us section. Those emails go to several of us, but I'm the primary. So if you respond, if you forget our email address, you're not on any social media platform anywhere. I'm not sure how you manage that, but it's awesome. I mean,
It is awesome.
go to the website, go to contact us, write me an email, say, hey, I'd really like to see the Captain's Film results, be a playtester, or whatever your question.
Yeah,
You know, there's other places you can reach it.
absolutely.
Designers, any of the channels on Discord,
Discord, sure.
Free Blades players on Facebook, however.
The point is contact us.
Contact, right?
Yeah.
However you do.
We'd love to hear from
Smoke
you.
signals, heliograph,
Yeah, carrier pigeon.
2 orange juice cans and a string. Most people listening to my voice won't know what the hell I'm talking about, which is awesome. Sorry, thank you very much for that.
No, that's great. All right, just to finish up today, we're going to talk about one of the initiatives that we've just put into play for our Patreon subscribers. It's called the Citizens of Skyfire, and it's another way to get people involved in the world. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And if you're interested, you can holler at us afterwards, and we'd love to answer questions about that. But Skyfire is a port city, a huge sprawling port city on the southern continent, off the map that we now have. So we're, as John was saying, we're starting to build these places out a little bit, and we have some of this stuff kind of in the hopper, ready to come out as we see fit. And one of these things is the city of Skyfire, and the Skyfire is on a Trazorite controlled province on the southern continent, but it's kind of it's a little frontier. Trazorites don't want to tread too heavily on it because when they do, people tend to riot and things burn, and the
They don't make
Trazorites
as
don't
much
like
money.
that. They don't make as much money. That's really what it comes down to. So they're taking their cut for sure. But in this city, it's a big port city on the end of a bay. The merchants of the world converge there to take the riches of the southern continent off and take it back to their homelands. And what we're doing with this city is we're building it piece by piece, and we're going to give weekly updates to our Patreon subscribers, every one of them. But more importantly, we've put out a survey, and we're allowing you to choose a character off of a survey to populate this place. So you're going to choose a faction, you're going to choose an occupation, and we're going to write that character into the city of Skyfire. They're going to be an important NPC in one of the areas of the city. They're going to have interactions with what will be a hub for Brightsword adventuring, or for Free Blades campaigning, or Encounters campaigning. That's going to go into that city. So we're going to write it up. We've got a little card. We're going to do an image for you. And every one of our Patreon subscriber partners has filled out a survey or is filling out a survey now to do that. And if you'd like in on that, there's no end to that, right? If you join our Patreon, we're going to send you the survey, and you get to create one of these characters that we will use to populate the city. It's going to be very exciting, especially as we start building and people see what's going on and how their character fits in and what they're doing and how they're going to interact, because one of the things that we're doing is building in little hooks for each of the characters and building relationships throughout the city. So you may choose 6 options for your character, but it's going to have such a life within the city. And that's going to be a really fun thing to build. I'm really looking forward to building it. I've got a lot of work already done into it, and we're looking forward to bringing that out a little bit more. But if you're interested, if you'd like to join the Patreon, any level of Patreon subscription get you into that, and you get to choose a character. So if you're interested in that, again, go to dgsgames.com.
Go to the World of Faelon.
Yep, World of Faelon tab, and you can choose a subscription or holler at one of us online, and we can help you walk through that. So, John, I think that's really all we've got today.
Oh, thing to
add.
We talked about the fact that if you are a world builder level Patreon subscriber,
Yes.
you get a character and a location
Yes.
in the world, and you get to be that faction's kind of player
You
representative.
get to adopt the faction.
In addition to your Skyfire character.
That's right. In addition to.
It's a Skyfire character, the world builders
they get
get something different.
something different,
In
right?
addition,
And the big difference there is that when you do an NPC as a change seeker or a NPC and a location as a world builder, you get to work on the background as well, right? You get to do the entire process, not just pick a
shop,
right,
a
an
barracks, a
occupation,
tavern, or
right?
whatever, right?
You get to be intimately involved with the background there. With the Skyfire character, it's a
Everybody
little
knows Skyfire.
simpler, right? You get a name, you get a faction, you get an occupation, and we take it from there. So yeah, it's not one or the other. It's both,
It's both.
right?
Right.
So that's really awesome. Okay, thank you for adding that,
Well,
John. Really appreciate that.
very well.
So we're going to wrap it up this week, guys. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you listening to the first episode, and there are so many more to come. So until next time, folks, we'll see you around the table.
Thanks again. Spike and win.